Beautiful, beautiful. Welcome into practice, everybody. You can see that I have a trusty block here with me, and that is going to play a prominent role in some parts of our practice today. So definitely have a trusty block or a big book or something that can kind of be a stand-in for a block, and have that nearby. We are continuing on with inspiration from one of my favorite children's books, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. And we are going to start in our very favorite Shavasana. So you can lie on your back, you can plop yourself there, let the full weight of your body just settle into that Shavasana. And today's practice is really a deep invitation to appreciating subtlety, nuance, small little details of our practice. And so from that inspiration, we are going to be doing a lot of work that's focused in and around the feet, the toes, the ankles. Noticing how those small, sometimes not so paid attention to parts of our body can drastically impact our experience of a pose. And the quote that is anchoring this practice is a very small exchange between the little boy and the mole, where the mole says to the boy, "I'm so small," said the mole. "Yes," said the boy, "but you make a huge difference." This reminder not to undervalue or underappreciate the small things. Give yourself one more breath right here on your spine in Shavasana. And then the next time you feel the breath coming into the body, invite your knees in towards your chest. Give them a nice, lovely squeeze. And then start to gather a little bit of momentum, rocking along the spine. We're all eventually going to meet in an all fours position. So you can come into that tabletop position. And I'm going to invite you straight away today to go ahead and tuck all 10 of your toes, even your little pinky toes. And then once you get all 10 of the toes tucked, pop up onto your fingertips, which I often call cupcake fingers. We're going to start to flow through some cat and cow here on our fingertips, on our toes, feeling that energy right at the edges of our fingertips, right at the edges of our toes, as we flow back and forth through our cat and our cow. Now, if this feels like a level of challenge that you're already comfortable with, you don't necessarily want more, stay with this. If you want an added element of challenge, the next time you round into your cat pose, push down into the fingertips and the toes and hover your knees just for a little brief moment. Then lower the knees and again flow forward into your cow, back into your cat, and then at the top of the cat, just a little hover of the knees. Do that one more time, flowing forward into the cow. And then pressing up, maybe a little hover at the top of that cat. Then coming back, flatten your palms. I'm going to use my right hand to step my right foot forward. I'm actually coming into a half toe squat. So I'm going to start to guide my hips back onto my left heel. So you may not go all the way back. This is a half toe squat. You could keep the hands down on the floor or walk them up onto the right knee. We're just here for 3 more breaths. Trying to let the weight of the body settle in the foot. 1 more deep inhale. I know, 3 breaths, super intense. And then we're gonna walk forward. You're gonna just step that right foot forward a little bit more so you can lift your left foot and just kind of squinch the toes, almost like you're picking up a pencil off the floor, and then spread your toes really wide apart from each other. Do that one more time. Squeeze the toes tightly like you're trying to pick something off the floor, and then spread them apart. Then drop the top of your foot onto the mat. We're coming into a child's pose with a variation. So as you step your right foot back, I'm going to turn so you can see the back of this. You're going to stack your right foot on top of your left, and then sit back. Walk your hands forward so you get a little bit of compression on the sole, the underside of that left foot. Let the pelvis descend towards the heels. And then we're going to take this into a diagonal variation. So lifting the head and the heart, walk your hands diagonally to the left, opening up a little bit more space through the right side body. Still feeling that little bit of pressure as the right foot is stacked on top of the left arch. And then walking your hands back to center, you're going to shift your weight forward, unstack your feet, tuck your toes, press up to your first downward facing dog of the practice. And we're going to get a little stretch in the top of the foot. Okay, so I'm going to try to be as articulate as possible. You're going to keep your left foot exactly as it is, but lift your right foot and then just pop onto the top of your right foot so it's the top of your toes is on the mat. And then I'm going to gently apply some pressure as I start to straighten my right knee and my left heel lifts a little higher. I'm trying to get a stretch across the top of my right foot, but I don't have too much pressure on that right foot because there's a lot on the ball of my left foot. Then I'm going to slowly release, bend the right knee, let the left heel lower, and then I'm going to switch. So I'm going to flip my right foot like a classic down dog foot. Then I'm going to flip my left foot over like it's semi-pointed. Then I start to straighten my left knee, and as I straighten my left knee, I also lift my right heel, getting a nice stretch on the top of my left foot. Take one more full breath here. And then as you bend your left knee, settle your right heel, unflip that left foot. You're back in a classic down dog. Drop your knees and your shins. Sit back to a classic child's pose, hips to heels, big toes together, settling for 3 breaths. Enjoying those 3 breaths before we do that warm-up sequence on the second side. This second side, since you have a sense of what's coming, really welcoming in more appreciation for subtlety. These little small differences that are changing our experience of these classic shapes. Shift forward onto all fours. Once again, tuck all 10 toes and then pop up onto your fingertips. Once you get there, start to move through your cat and cow, rippling down into your cow and then pressing up into your cat, maybe a little hover of the knees. Moving at your pace. We'll have time for somewhere between 4 and 5 rounds of this cat and cow, depending on your pace. We are making a number of very small changes and additions to our poses today. And yet, just like the boy reflected to the mole, recognizing that they make a huge difference in our experience. Last cat and cow. Then as the knees settle down, I'm going to plant my palms. This time invite my left foot forward, and I'm coming into that hybrid toe stretch. So I sit my hips down. I'm going to slide my left foot back a little bit. I could stay leaning forward, or you could walk the hands up on that left knee for 3. For 2, keep the face relaxed. And then as you walk your hands forward, you might invite that left foot to come forward a little bit more so that you can lift that right foot. And then again, like you're squeezing, picking up something off the floor, and then spreading the toes wide apart. Once again, squeezing the toes tightly and spreading apart. And then as you lower the top of the right foot down, left foot steps back, and again, you're stacking that left foot, as you can see here, right over the arch of the right, and then you sit back into your child's pose. So there's a little compression on the underside of that right foot. One more breath here. Really noticing how this very subtle change in the position of the feet. Start to walk your hands diagonally to the right. changes your experience of the down dog. What do you feel more aware of? What sensations rise to the surface of the pose with this subtle change? And then as you walk your hands back to center, unwrap the feet, tuck the toes, press back up to that down dog. One more time to stretch the tops of the feet. So left foot stays classic, right foot points and the top of the foot comes to the mat. As you start to straighten the right knee, the left heel lifts and you get that nice stretch along the top of the right foot. Keep pushing the mat away through the palms. And then soften the right knee, release the left heel, unravel that right foot. Switch sides, flip the left foot. As you straighten the left knee, let the right heel lift. Feel that stretch across the top of the left foot, the front of the left ankle. Keep pushing down through the palms. And then slowly coming out, classic downward facing dog. Beautiful. Bringing our warm-up sequence to a close as we start to move to sun salutations. We're going to take a slow, mindful transition to the front of the mat. So imagine a tightrope at the back of your mat. We're going to walk on that tightrope. Pop up high on the balls of your feet. Step your right foot forward 1 foot's length and try to fully plant your right foot as much as your hamstring will let you. Lean back into the right heel and keep stretching the ball of the left foot so you're high on the ball of that left foot. We're going to do that on the second side. Pop up high on the ball of the right foot, sneak that left foot forward 1 foot's length. Try to plant it. Lean back into that left heel. Take a breath. And then it can get a little bit too claustrophobic the rest of the way. So just start to tightrope walk your way to the front of your mat. Find your Uttanasana. And take a couple half lifts here. Fingertips to shins. Lift up halfway tabletop spine. Exhale, let that go. You're going to do exactly that 2 more times. Fingertips to shins. Half lift. And fold, release. Last time, fingertips to shins, half lift, and fold Uttanasana. Lifting the head, looking in front of your toes, bring your fingertips to the mat. Heel toe your feet together so your big toes touch, heels are slightly apart. Start to rock forward onto the balls of your feet, lifting up onto a tiptoe Uttanasana, and then immediately start to bend your knees, sinking down into a tiptoe little mini squat here. So my thighs are parallel to the floor. Take your right hand and cup the back of your right heel. Balance here. Take your left hand, cup the back of your left heel. Keep pulling your heart forward, lengthen your spine. A little tiptoe chair action for 2. Strong through those ankles. 1 more full in-breath. Exhale, hands to the mat, drop the heels, lift the hips. Uttanasana, we get to come to our first full mountain pose. Sweep those arms wide, rising out and up. Hands into heart center. Just take 2 half salutations, just like a nice rinse cycle before we move into full sun salutations. Sweep those arms out and up. Folding over the legs. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Sweeping those arms out and up. And hands into heart center. Sweeping the arms out and up. 1 more half salutation. Folding over the legs. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling to fold. Sweep the arms out and up. Hands to heart center. Release the arms, stand tall, full breath in. First sun salutation, palms together, position 1. Sweep the arms forward, up and back. Listen carefully here. We're going to add in a side bend. So come back up to standing upright. Left hand holds the right wrist, fold to your left. Crescent moon. Beautiful. Come back up to center. Before you forward fold, release your right wrist. Turn your right toes out 45 degrees. Fold forward, Uttanasana. So left toes are still straight ahead, right toes are turned out 45 degrees. Take your left hand right in the middle of your mat, deeply bend your left knee, reach your right arm to the ceiling, revolved little twist here, getting into that outer right hip, IT band. One more full in-breath. Look down at the mat, unravel that twist, right hand lowers. Keep your right foot turned out. Step your left foot to the back of the mat and lower your left knee. I'm gonna widen my right foot out a little bit more. Okay, so I have a little bit more of a railroad track stance with my feet. You might like to do the same. Settling into this deep lunge, taking a couple breaths. If you find the floor is too far away, hands could always be on blocks here for more elevation. One more breath, and then we're gonna take this into some hip flossing with this front leg at a slight turned out angle. So we start to rock back and forth with that front leg externally rotated, flossing back and forth. If you think of your body as like a universe in and of itself, these small changes are like an individual inside of the universe. You would think that they're so small, minuscule, they can't make that much of an impact on the universe of your body. But it really does change your whole experience of a pose. We're gonna step back to downward facing dog with our heels together, our feet turned out 45 degrees, both of them. So step back, heels together, turn your feet like you're a ballerina in first position. As you settle in here, lift the arches of your feet and sink the pinky side edges of your feet deeper into the mat. Noticing how this little singular individual change impacts the entire universe of your body and how it's experiencing the pose. Take one more breath right here. You're going to start to walk your hands to the back of your mat, landing in a yogi squat. So knees are going to bend. You're going to land in a yogi squat. I'm going to face you so you can see this. You're going to take your arms, extend them out so your arms are on your knees. And then I want you to think of like a bag that has a cinch at the top. And we're going to cinch our bag and then release our bag. I'm going to do that 4 more times. So you just go a tiny bit up, like a little and then you go down. 3 more, cinch. It's all that inner thigh right underneath your pelvic floor. That's it. 2 more, cinch it up and lower. Last time, cinch. Yes, release. Vinyasa, take your hands to the mat, walk forward to plank pose. Strong in your plank. Lower through vinyasa of your choice, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Back mid of choice, I'm doing a cobra. You could do an upward facing dog. Everybody meeting back in your downward facing dog. Take a breath, noticing that difference in the classic down dog and the turned out version. Then we'll start to reverse this on the second side, looking forward. Step your left foot forward, classic lunge. Drop your right knee. Sweep the arms up. Left toes still pointed forward, noticing that difference. Hands to the mat. Step right foot forward to meet the left. Forward fold. Sweeping the arms out, up, back, hands to heart center. Release the arms, stand tall, full breath in. Palms of the hands together. 1, 2, reaching forward, up, maybe a back bend. Coming back up to standing, holding left wrist with your right fingertips, folding up and over crescent moon. As you come back up to center, release the left wrist, turn your left foot out only 45 degrees, folding forward, Uttanasana. Preparing for that twist, place the right hand right in the center of your line of sight. Deeply bend your right knee as your left leg stays straight. Left arm to ceiling as you revolve and twist for 3. This subtle change of just turning your left foot out, impacting the entire experience of this posture. Unraveling the twist, left hand back to the mat. Keep your left foot turned out as you step the right foot to the back of the mat. Lower the right knee down. And just take a couple breaths in this lizard pose. Making any adjustments. Again, I mentioned you could always have the block if you want more height. We use the body as kind of a metaphor in the yoga practice. When you're ready, start to rock forward and back, flossing that left hip with that externally rotated left leg. But how many times in your life has there been a situation that felt so enormous, so big that you thought, how in the world can little old me make a difference? What does it matter? Why even bother? Next time you shift forward, we're coming into that first position, down dog. Plant your palms, step your left foot back, heels together, feet turned out 45 degrees. Lift the arches of the feet, anchor the pinky side edges of the feet. Noticing the enormous impact that this subtle change is having on this pose, and using that to reflect on the impact you may have on enormous challenges. Walking your hands back to the back of your mat. Yogi squat. We do that cinching, lifting, and lowering one more time. You've got your arms extended over the knees, and then you inhale, you cinch up and lift, and you lower down. 4 more. Lift. You feel a little hold at the top, and lower. A little squeeze. Yes. And lower. And 2 more. Lift. You feel the glutes, the thighs, and lower. 1 more time. Lift. And lower. Vinyasa, hands walk forward. Find your plank. Moving through Vinyasa of your choice. Back bend that feels right for today. Downward facing dog, classic. Breathing in and out. Looking forward, classic lunge, right foot forward, left knee down. Sweep the arms up, just 1 in-breath. Out breath, hands down, left foot comes forward to meet the right. Closing out the second round, sweep those arms out and up. And hands to heart center. Last round of sun salutations. Release the arms, stand tall. Got a longer sequence in the middle of this one, so listen up. Hands to heart center, 1. Sweeping arms forward, up and back. There's no crescent moon this time. Folding over the legs. Leading with your left, step your left foot back. We're going to windmill up to Warrior 2. I'm going to turn to face you. Paying attention to that front right foot. We're going to play with tiptoes and heels. So we're going to start to lift the right heel, pressing up onto the ball of the right foot. Then lower the heel, flip the palm, lean back, exalting your warrior, and then lift the sole of the right foot so you're balanced on the right heel. Go back and forth 3 more times. Forward to Warrior 2, pop up on the ball of the foot. Back to exalting your warrior, drop onto the heel. 2 more. Forward, tiptoes, back, heel. Last time. Forward, onto tiptoes. You've got it. Back, onto heel. Back into your Warrior 2. Windmill the arms down to the mat. Hop your left foot in 1 foot's length, setting up for pyramid pose. So you're going to straighten both knees. Check in with your hips. You probably, I need to dial the right hip back and melt the left hip forward. Really nice. We're going to set up for a slightly different variation, a subtle small change of revolved triangle. I'm going to bring a block in underneath my left hand because I feel more supported. Once I get supported in the pose, I'm going to bring my right fingertips to my right shoulder, and I'm going to start to lift my right elbow towards the ceiling. Right fingertips stay on my shoulder. What I'm focusing on here is inviting that right elbow up, up, up and around. Open the collarbones. Get broader across the front of your chest. One more in-breath. Then look down. Release the hands. Step back. First position, downward facing dog. Walk the hands back into your squat. We're going to play with the balance here. This builds on our toe squat from earlier. So you have to have pretty open toes to do this one. So we're going to drop the left knee down to the mat, and then I slide my right fingertips down to the floor, left arm to ceiling. So I'm in a deep toe squat on that left foot, and I'm all open across my inner thighs. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, bring hands to heart center. Try to lift up without hands, but if you need to, you can put the hands on the mat. And then we switch sides. Drop the right knee, left fingertips towards the floor, right fingertips towards the sky. 2 full breaths here. Really intense for that dorsiflexion of all of the toes. Then bringing hands back to heart center, trying to rock back to center, and then we vinyasa it out. Walk the hands forward into your plank pose, moving through your vinyasa. Finding your way to a classic down dog and enjoying that for a breath. And exhale. Second side, looking forward, left foot comes forward, windmill up and open to warrior 2. All the work is in that front foot here. Once you get settled, lift up onto the ball of the left foot, then lower the heel, rock back onto the heel, exalted warrior. 3 more, rock forward, pop up, rock back onto the heel. 2 more, forward, pop, and back, heel. Last time, forward, pop it up, and back, heel. You briefly pass through warrior 2, windmill the hands down, hop the right foot in, setting up for that pyramid pose for a brief moment. Check in with the pelvis, left hip back, right hip forward. Setting up for that revolved triangle. If you're anything like me, maybe bringing a block underneath the right palm, left fingertips to left shoulder, then lifting left elbow out and up to the ceiling. Push down through the right palm, up through the left elbow, and then broaden the collarbones. Every inhale, make the front of the chest smilier, bigger, more open. 1 more in-breath, lift that left elbow. And then slowly release out. Step the right foot forward to meet the left. That's going to conclude our sun salutation. Sweep the arms out and up. Hands to heart center. Release the arms alongside you. Close your eyes. Take a brief little micro meditation here. Thinking through some of the poses that we've done where we've made these very subtle, small tweaks, and how the smallest little change can impact your entire body's experience of a pose. Letting yourself be in awe of the power of small changes. And as you blink open your eyes, locate your block or whatever you're using as your block. We're going to move into, it's not a super long, but standing sequence. And we start with a balancing pose on our block. So the block is going to be at the front of the mat, and I've got it running this way because my foot is going to step on it. So it's running kind of long ways, vertical. And then I'm going to step my left foot onto the surface of my block. And I'm coming into tree pose, just so you know where you're going. So as you start to get there, Take your time. You may choose to keep your right toes down for a little bit more stability. You may kind of play with like lifting and lowering those toes if this feels a little precarious. Or if you're feeling some confidence, some stability, starting to grow into a version of Vrikshasana that feels available with this subtle difference. And then just noticing how changing the foundation of the pose changes the way the whole body on top of that foundation responds to that foundation. We're going to step back to Warrior Two. We've already been there. Stepping the right foot back, opening up to Warrior Two. And just noticing how this Warrior Two, with the foot fully planted, but now elevated on the surface of the block, feels totally different than when we were on the ball of that front foot. We're going to revolve into a high lunge, drop that right arm, pivot onto the ball of the back right foot, come into a high lunge position, and then lean forward into a diagonal. And then using all that energy in the back foot, just rock forward onto the ball of your right toe, shifting your weight forward, and then reach your right heel back as far as it goes. Do that 3 more times. Rock forward, rock back. 2 more, rock forward and back. Last time, rock forward, reach back, bring your hands to your waist, hop your right foot in a few times, and come to stand. Seesaw pose. Hands are going to stay on the waist. Right toes are going to tap on the floor right behind you. And then you seesaw forward like Warrior Three. And you seesaw down. Dynamic balance. 2 more. Seesaw forward. Seesaw down. Last time, seesaw forward. Seesaw down. Step your right foot down on your mat. Move your left heel to the center of your block, about somewhere between 1/3 and halfway to the center. We're moving into skater's pose. You may want to watch this. So I'm going to step my right foot back. And then as I drop into skater's pose, my left heel stays on my block. So that's why we had to move it forward. Otherwise, your block would just flip out from under you. Okay? So get your adjustment, and then you find your skater's pose. Take a couple breaths in your skater's pose. Sometimes, I've done this a few times now, I find that I need to kind of re-extend my right foot a little wider once I get in the pose. So make any adjustments you need. We've got 1 more breath before we come to the floor. And then you're going to try to control your descent and then hug your right heel in towards your pubic bone. Notice my left heel is still on the block. Take your left hand inside your left leg. Right arm sweeps out and up. And then fold toward that extended left leg, heel still elevated on the block. Keep reaching the right fingertips, not collapsing. Inhale, lifting up. I'm going to use my hands because I'm turning to face my extended left leg, turning, facing. I'm going to pick up my right foot, cross it over my left knee, and then you're going to use your fingers and thread them in between your toes. So can you see that? I got my fingers between my toes here. And then with my fingers threaded in between my toes, just draw some circles with my ankle. Stretching all that webbing in between the toes. Reverse the roll of the ankle, sitting up tall through the spine. And then releasing, just like after you get your pedicure and you take the squishy stuff out, take it out. That was your yoga pedicure for today. Classic Janu Shirshasana. Reach the arms up and forward fold towards that extended left leg. Again, noticing this small change. Your left heel is elevated, 6 inches or so. What part of the body are you feeling more? What rises to the surface? Taking heart that small things can have big impact. And then reaching out through your fingertips, coming up, lean back enough to cross your ankles, come forward. This is your last vinyasa of the practice, so take it or leave it. We'll make our way to down dog. And then looking to the front of the mat, walking or stepping your feet to the front of your space. Inhale, take a half lift. Exhale, fold. Take your block, move it slightly to the right. Sweep the arms out and up. And then starting that sequence on the second side, step your right foot up on the block. Rising up, starting to build your tree pose on this second side. Maybe choosing to do a different kind of tree pose on this side. Maybe a different arm variation. So much of the practice of yoga and mindfulness is an exercise in the art of subtlety, appreciating nuance. And then a controlled transition back to Warrior 2 as the left foot reaches boldly to the back of the mat and you windmill and open. And you take a breath or two just to appreciate how this Warrior 2 is drastically different than the one we did when we were working with the ball of the foot. Dipping into our diagonal lunge, left arm drops down, we pivot onto the ball of the left foot, we fold the torso forward to the diagonal, and then this is all about the power of that back foot as you shift the weight forward, stretching through the toes, and then reach the heel back. 3 more, shift it forward, and reach it back. And 2, and back, and 1, and back. Place the hands on the waist, hop that left foot in, find your standing seesaw. When you feel stable, start to tilt forward into your balance. Think of a seesaw, it moves in one solid piece. So if you're lowering your torso, that means you're lifting your leg. They must move in proportion to one another. One more time, dynamic seesaw, standing all the way up. Step your left foot down, move your right heel more to the center of your block, and then we're moving into our skater's pose. Left foot steps back, dropping into our skater's position. One more full breath, upright in the skater. And then as you settle the hips down, tuck the left heel in towards the pubic bone. We do a lateral Janu Shirshasana. Right hand inside the right leg, left arm to ceiling, and then folding towards that extended right leg. Smooth, slow breath. Let the breath pick you up, turning and facing your right leg, and then picking up that left foot, cross it over the ankle. Get ready for your yoga pedicure as you put in your fingers between each toe, and then rolling it around in those big circles. You can give yourself your own little reflexology here. Go the other direction. Nice. And then removing the fingers. This time we're going to come into that Janu Shirshasana, left foot to right inner thigh. Reach the arms up, folding forward. Maybe the next time you find yourself faced with a seemingly insurmountable task, a problem, an issue in your personal life, in your community, remembering the words of the boy spoken to the mole. Reach your fingertips forward and up. You're going to take off that right heel, turn your block horizontally, place both heels on the block. Final posture before Shavasana, moving any extra flesh out of the way, reaching the arms up, and then folding forward. Paschimottanasana with that slight elevation. Remembering how beautifully the boy was able to reflect for the mole that yes, he was small. He didn't negate that. He didn't try to diminish the mole's smallness. In fact, he validated it. He said, yes, you are small, but you make a huge difference. That recognition that smallness is not insignificant. So to reach forward through the fingertips, coming out and up. We're going to make our way into our Shavasana. My suggestion for this about 2-minute Shavasana is to take the block either in its narrowest or medium form in between the feet for Supta Baddha Konasana. And just noticing how that slight different kind of change in width and the awareness of the block being there can alter the experience of the pose. Settling onto your back for just about a 2-minute rest. Acknowledging that yes, individually, each one of us is very small indeed. But being small doesn't mean that we're without power or agency. And just as so many different parts of our body illustrated to us tonight, even the smallest little thing can impact the whole. Giving yourself one more breath exactly as you are. And then allowing the breath to become a little brighter, more invigorating, maybe wiggling the fingers. If you were in that Supta Baddha Konasana, maybe using the hands to gently close the legs. And then eventually, in your own way, making your way back up to a comfortable seat. And bringing the palms of the hands either somewhere on the body as a gesture of gratitude or together, where we ask that the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light, which sounds like this in the language of Sanskrit. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Blessings to all of our practices.